All right, Fongo Banner fans, we are back with our final guest of the 2024 season. And honestly, he's been the most requested guest that we've had throughout these years. And we are so excited to have on Sonny Garza, head baseball coach at Othello High School. Sonny, thank you for joining us tonight.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. It's a pleasure being here. I appreciate you guys getting this going back. The first years when you guys got it going, I remember hearing about it, thinking, man, you know what? This is cool. This is cool. It was during the times when we couldn't do anything because of COVID. And I remember taking long walks with my dog, just throwing on my ear pods and just going for a long walk in the canal, just listening to different coaches talk baseball. It was great, man. So I appreciate you guys kind of doing this and getting this going and continuing it. It's awesome.
That's awesome. That's so cool to hear. No, that just gave me chill bumps. That's cool. Thank you for listening, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, you bet. I could still remember some of those first ones. I think episode 3 or 4, Coach Jesse Benedetti, and then we had Coach Archer on there. It was one of the 5th or 6th ones, and then I think it was Elliot Cribby was a few after that. And so I remember going back to those first few episodes, thinking, "Hey, man, this is cool. Like, this is awesome. This is great for just this area. It's great for the coaches to be able to continue to talk baseball during this time." So again, man, this is awesome. This is a great opportunity, and I'm really thankful.
Oh, we appreciate that. Well, then you already know our first very hard-hitting question. What's your favorite fungo?
Yeah, so when I started coaching, I was really big into Chandler. So I started with a Chandler fungo, and I kind of didn't know much. That was the first fungo I got, and I really liked it. And 3 years ago, I got a Devo fungo, and that Devo fungo's actually been a little bit better weighted. It's felt a lot better than the Chandler fungo that I had. So I think I'm a Devo guy now. I got my staffs and Devo bats, and I started using the Devo for about 2 years. On Monday, the first day of practice, I forgot it in my car. And I'm going through my bag, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to use my Devo bat that I had last year. So I pulled out the Chandler, and man, it was so heavy. I was just so used to the Devo. And the next morning, my bicep was on fire from hitting ground balls with that Chandler. And it's so end loaded that it tore me up. So that Devo is really money.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. And they also have a little bit better pop sound to them. It makes it sound like I'm really hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. I used it yesterday and then again today, and it just has a lot better feel to it, like you said. So I'm a Devo guy now, man.
Heck yeah, dang right. Well, talk us through your path in baseball. Where you got started. Even your playing days, and then what got you into coaching and lead to where you are in the head job at Othello.
Yeah, you bet. So, I'm Othello through and through. I started here in Othello. Played Little League here in Othello with some great coaches. Had the opportunity to be coached by, one of the legends here. They call him a legend, named Fred Calzadillas. He's kind of the one that got everything going for me. Head coach here. They got a field named after him at the park. Just a great guy, man. A legend of baseball here in Othello. And after Little League, I got into middle school. I played high school baseball 4 years here in Othello High School. In 2003, my junior year, we were state champions. 2003. So as a player, I've kind of won it my junior year, which is something not many can say. So, that's something that I got to hang my head on. And, I'm really happy about my summers I spent with the Columbia Basin River Dogs with Coach Boroff over in Ephrata. I started there when I was 14 years old. I was a 6-year guy, actually, for the Columbia Basin River Dogs as a 14-year-old. Played on their 15-year-old team, and then as a 16-year-old, I jumped up with the 18s. And my first year at CBC, the River Dogs are an 18U team, and so I was still 18 as a freshman at my junior college. So I was able to come back and play one more season for them, my 6th summer. And like I said, after high school, I ended up at CBC with Coach Scott Rogers, which to me, is probably one of my more favorite coaches. Just a great guy, overall great dude. I absolutely loved him. I spent 2 years there at Columbia Basin. We won the NWACs as well. We were able to win the NWACs. We had some great games there in the NWAC tournament against Lower Columbia. So after CBC, I ended up in San Jose, California. I was able to play 2 years of baseball there for Coach Sam Ferraro. 2 more great years of baseball in beautiful, sunny California. We're talking earlier about Eastern Washington weather. Nothing beats California baseball, California weather. So that's kind of where I kind of ended, my own career there at San Jose State. I was there for a couple of years. Then after that, I graduated. I didn't know what to do. I came back home. I had my bachelor's degree, and I was kind of unsure exactly what I wanted to do. So I came back home. I wanted to be closer to mom. I'm kind of a mama's boy. And I came back home. There was actually an assistant football job that was open with a little emphasis on quarterbacks. And I was also a high school quarterback. So the head coach, Roger Hoyle, that was there actually called me and said, "Hey, I heard you're in town. You want a job? We got an assistant football job position. So if you want, we could interview you and we can give it to you." So I said, "You know what? I'll give it a shot." So I started, I got paid there my first year. And I'm thinking, you know what? If I want to continue to coach, then I need to be a teacher. So the fall was over and in the spring started, and I started taking my master's classes to become a teacher. And that year in the spring, I was a volunteer assistant for the baseball team as well. So that's kind of what got everything going for me. I just came back home and I started in football, and then it led kind of into baseball. And I was a volunteer assistant for 1 year. And then I had 3 years as a JV guy. I was the JV head coach. And then I did the varsity assistant for a couple of years. And now I've been the head coach here in Othello since 2016. So this is going to be year 8 for me as the head coach here in Othello. Super thankful for the opportunity that I get every single year to be a head coach here in the place that I grew up in. Everything's kind of lined up for me pretty good. And so I'm so happy and thankful to be here. That's kind of how it worked out for me. I'm back home here now. I got my kids here. I actually teach at the school that my kids go to. So everything's kind of worked out for me so far.
That's really cool, Coach. I mean, just to be able to come home and just kind of reestablish yourself and your roots there in Othello. And, ever since you've taken over since 2016, you've done a tremendous job of building your program. I honestly to say that, Othello baseball is one of the top programs in the state of Washington. What are the things that you're doing that has really built that since taking over in 2016?
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate the comment, man. It's been a lot of learning for me. Kind of as a coach, I kind of started as a first year coach thinking that I knew quite a bit. I had a great plan. I thought I had a lot of, great ideas, and not that they weren't great, but the saying, you kind of don't know what you don't know. And being my first year coaching, I thought I did things really well. And, to the best of my ability, I felt like things were going good, but it's been about 2 or 3 years now that I've kind of felt like there was kind of something missing. We would win the games we're supposed to win, and we would kind of lose some of the close games, and we just kind of didn't have that it factor, and we've done quite a bit. But over the last 2 years, what I've really tried to incorporate is the Othello baseball way. And here in Othello, what we began to call that is OBW. The Othello baseball way. And what it was is me kind of going back to the groundwork and just teaching these kids everything that they kind of need to know about baseball from the ground up. How you enter the field, how you show up to practice, what you do at practice, what are some things that you're supposed to say during practice, how do you carry yourself at practice. And it's been really important for me that they show pride in those things, apart from actually playing the game and, fielding the ball the right way and throwing the ball the proper way and hitting the ball the right way. For me, it's kind of been going back to the roots and teaching them kind of the basics, kind of doing all of the little things right that lead up to how you then do things on the baseball field. So I started the Othello baseball way, the slogan, a couple of years ago, and it's really taken off. I've never been a slogan guy. I've never really liked sayings on the back of shirts or, those little slogans and sayings that people say. I've never really been big on that. But the more that I coach, I've really realized that those things are important to have unity and to bring people together, to bring players together. So that's kind of something that I started, as a coaching staff. We started that and we rolled it out to our players, and we kind of didn't give them a choice. We said, hey, this is going to be the Othello baseball way, and this is how we're going to start doing things, So I thought I was doing things really well when I started the first few years. And like I said, it's not that it wasn't well, but every year, man, you got to learn. And I've kind of it's been a blessing to be in the CWAC with some of these great coaches, and every time we play them, they might not know it, man, but I'm learning from them. I'm watching how they're doing things. I'm listening how they're talking. And so I'm just trying to learn from these different guys. And, we have summer baseball now, and we've been doing stuff in the summer, playing, some pretty good Legion teams and some other teams that we're able to pick up some games on that have some really great coaches. So I just kind of try to pick things up from them and learn things from them and try to then incorporate it kind of into, the things that I'm trying to do here with my kids.
That's a really good point, because I know going back to when I started, man, I was going to do it all, right? Like,
Yeah,
we got this. We can do whatever. We're going to win all these games, right? And then that process of learning and throughout the years of coaching, man, what are some of the biggest things you've picked up along the way? Because I know that's trying to learn from everybody you've played against, and there's some really good names in that league.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I've kind of taken from, some of these coaches is kind of how they carry themselves, and then how their kids react to that, and the way that their kids carry themselves. Some of the things that I talk about with my kids, is how are you going to dress up when you show up to the field? What are you going to wear? Are you going to be showing up in Crocs, or are you going to actually wear some turf shoes, and you're going to get out of your car and you're going to walk in professional and you're going to look good when you show up? Those are the things that you kind of watch certain teams exit out of buses. I can think of Ephrata back to the years when Coach Johnson was there, Coach Dave Johnson. He was, he's been a kind of a mentor of mine as well. And I remember the days of them walking out of the bus. They're holding their two jerseys. They're on the, they're on the hanger. They got their Ephrata baseball bag, and they just look so uniform. And they look just so united. And that was something that when I first started, I didn't really have that piece together. And so over the last couple of years, it's been something that I've kind of asked of the kids, and I've told them, hey, this is what you're going to wear. This is what you're going to do. I don't want to see Crocs. I don't want to see sandals anymore. You got to wear an Othello baseball jacket, wear an Othello baseball hat, wear a black shirt on specific days that we practice. And before games, you're going to wear these pants, or you're going to wear this shirt, just because I feel like those are the little things that, I guess when teams are so evenly matched and they all got good talent, there's always little things that get them ahead of other teams. And I really feel like that is something that's super important, and it's not that a lot of coaches kind of look over that. It's just at times you don't have time to do that. We were talking earlier about we only got 10 days before the first game. And, you think about your plan and the weather's bad, and I only have an hour and a half of good weather. So I got to hurry up and do some defense. I got to do some offense. And you kind of forget those small things that in the long run, to have a successful program over the years, those are the little things that I feel are just really important. You got teams like Sela do the same thing. East Valley does something like that. You see their press box up top, all their jerseys are lined up. Everything's just so neatly organized. So, going back to what I'm kind of learning off of those coaches, those are really some of the little things that I've tried to really just pick up off of them, and things that I can do to kind of better my program.
Yeah, Coach,
apart from the go ahead, Jason.
Oh, I was going to say, Coach, did you get a lot of resistance from players and parents in regards to that kind of stuff when you started implementing that? I mean, I love it because at Tri-City Prep, we have a shirt and tie, kind of protocol that we go with our guys.
Yeah.
For baseball, and we're a private sector school, but they're all into it, and that you're exactly exactly right. It's all about approach. Come out of the school, get on that bus, come off that bus. I mean, it's everything about your program. So when you started implementing those things a couple of years ago, did you see, like parents going, whoa, hey coach, you're getting it's a little too much, or the kids are like, really coach, does it really matter? Or were they just instantly like, yeah, okay, we're starting to understand that?
Yeah. So one of the first things I thought of when I kind of talked to my coaching staff, and when I thought about really like not pressuring parents and kids to doing this, but like really getting them to buy into this whole deal, I said, hey, we just have to have a meeting with the parents and tell them that this is what we want to do. But more importantly, we kind of got to explain to them why we want to do this. And I mean, just kind of being honest, if you kind of look at Othello's past, when we play certain teams and certain events, we haven't been able to get over that hump. And I really feel that if we continue to do these little things right, that's something that hopefully gets us over that. Just being able to get parents to really understand, like, hey, in the long run, this is really going to be successful. We might have some bumps in the road, and we might, have some headaches, in the first couple of weeks of doing this. But in the long run, this is something that's really, really going to be beneficial for your kid, not just here on the baseball field for the next 2 or 3 years that he's with me. Hopefully this is something that your kid could then implement for the rest of his life. Maybe he goes off to college and maybe he does continue to play baseball, and this is something that he learned here. Maybe he wants to start a job already and start a career. Hopefully this is something that he could continue on and remember back to the Othello baseball way, being like, hey, I'm going to enter the baseball field and I'm going to look professional. You're going to enter a job interview, look professional. You're going to talk to certain people. You got to look to them face to face, look at them eye to eye. You're going to shake somebody's hand. Man, I want a firm handshake. I need a nice hard handshake to show them that you kind of mean business. Those are the little things that I kind of talk to the parents about. And the one thing that's been great about the parents here in Othello is, I haven't really had any fight back with any of the things that I've tried to implement. The times that I had that meeting, maybe I got a couple weird, stares, or a few of them kind of looked at me a little weird, like, hey, come on, man, who do you think you are? Or why you want to get too serious? Like, this isn't college, relax a little bit. And I think when I started, I didn't quite know where I could push the boundaries, because I had some things in mind that I wanted to do, but then I would think, well, it's just high school, man. It's not a big deal. Like, relax. It shouldn't be that serious, But over the years, I would just continue to think, no, man, like, we got to do this. Like, this is something that, these top-notch programs are doing. So if we want to be successful, we have to do that. So lucky for me, these parents have they've kind of been on board, I've really had no issues with them.
Coach, you talk about the micro aspect of kind of the program and the little details that you want to kind of implement, but on the other end of it, what are the kind of the bigger pillars of success that you've put into place, as far as, what are the things that are most important for you guys, as far as how you practice, how you do other things? Like, what are kind of the things that you evaluate players off of based on, how they go about their daily business, apart from maybe just the tiny details?
Yeah. So, some of the things that are you talking like on the baseball field type stuff?
Yeah. How you play the game.
Yeah. So, some of the things that I really ask the kids is, to hustle around, move around, if you're going to make a mistake, I want it to be 100%. I want it to be all out. If you're going to go up there and you're going to have an at bat, I need you to take 3 hard swings. We're up there to swing. Those are kind of some of the overall things, that I kind of look for. If you're going to be kind of moping around, walking around, then that's not really something that we're going to look for in a person as they're out there. So really how you carry yourself on the field has been, something else that we really try to talk about, because we know in this game of baseball, you're going to fail quite a bit. So one thing I tell them is, how do you respond when things are not going well? What kind of person are you when, you just went 0 for 3 at the plate and you're now running off to second base? How are you carrying yourself during that time? Because it's good for everybody to be happy and everybody smiling and giving each other high fives, when they're 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and, 2 hard hit singles, but how are you going to carry yourself when things are not going well? So, those are, I guess, a few of the things that I really try to look for in kind of the bigger scheme of it.
Love that. Well, let's dive into. Heard that you bark up my same tree on the middle infield side of things. This is what I love best. I like baseball in general and coaching and all that, but middle infield play is my kind of specialty. So let's talk about kind of some characteristics that you look at in your infielders. Obviously you guys are kind of, you get what your hand is dealt as far as talent in the area. You can't go out and find a new guy, but when you're looking for what your middle infield should look like, or maybe your infielders should look like in general, how are you kind of evaluating, the most important things and characteristics for your infielders?
Yeah, so really for the infield, one of the things I really talk to kids about is how do you play catch? How do you throw the ball? You throw the ball with intent. Are you, do you have a purpose behind where you're trying to direct the baseball, where you're trying to throw it, or are you just kind of lollipopping it around? One of the things that I always try to talk to kids about is, how you play catch before we actually start practice is going to really determine how your practice goes. So one of the things I really talk about with my infield is playing catch is probably going to be the most important thing for you to focus on before you can even get onto the field. So one of the biggest things that I really harp on them is playing catch right. So here in Othello, we started catch play about 2 years ago, the same time I did the whole Othello baseball way deal. I just felt like when kids were warming up, it just wasn't important to them. They were kind of, really lazy about the way they did things. And so, we started the Othello baseball way, and I sat them down. I said, listen, this is how you guys are going to throw the baseball. You're going to take a shuffle, you're going to throw it. You're going to start with your 10 toes right over the front. You're going to have the guy 10 feet in front of you, and it might look like it's little league. It might look like this is something that at the varsity level you probably don't do, but you guys aren't good the way you're doing it. So we got to now implement the Othello baseball way. So we started doing the catch play series, and we started being a little more intentional on how we play catch. And, we kind of carry that into our infield drills that we do. And one of the, I think it's the next question coming up, but along with going with the playing catch with intent, one of the biggest infield drills that I love to do almost every day, and we're going to start it tomorrow now that we kind of did our cuts and we got 3 days in, we split our teams up. But one of the things we're going to do is we're just going to get 3 buckets of baseballs at each position, and each kid is going to grab a baseball at their position. They're going to pretend to field it. They're going to shuffle and throw the ball over. Before we even hit them a ground ball, before they even start taking a right, left, gas pedal, field the ball center of body, come to a power V slot and throw, we're going to kind of start from the bottom, and they're going to have a ball and glove. They're going to kind of go through the motion of receiving or fielding the ground ball, take a shuffle and throw it over. And we'll go through that for about tomorrow. We'll probably do that for about 15, 20 minutes until I see that they're now starting to throw with intent and get behind the baseball and actually have a purpose on how they're throwing the baseball. So that's something that for me is really important for infield. That's kind of one of the things I've noticed over the last several years of being the head coach is for some reason, it's harder for kids to throw the ball than it is to catch it. Like they seem like they could field it pretty good, but for some reason they can't throw it over, and I struggle with that. And so since we started the catch play series, we've kind of minimized our throwing errors, which has been really huge because, that's the 2 main things on defense, catch the ball and throw it. You can't do one of those and you're going to really struggle. So throwing the baseball with intent is something that's really important to me.
Yeah, and I think the throwing program is important. Like I know all our positions have their own throwing program, and we have it written down. And day one of practice is what we go through for our infielders. Yeah, it's 10 toes and flipping it. Then it's shuffles. Then it's ground balls. Then it's relays. Then it's stretching out to your distance. Then it's working back with pull downs. And then it's different angles at, back to 45 feet, just throwing from different angles is kind of the thing that we work on. But talk us through what you mentioned a couple things, but what is your throwing program for that infield group?
Yeah, so it sounds like it's really similar kind of to what you kind of just mentioned, So with the infielders, they'll start on 10 toes and they'll just kind of go over the top for, a few minutes. At this level, I kind of give them a little leeway, when you feel good at that distance, then you could go ahead and move back, and we've kind of loosened the reins a little bit over, just over last year. I would say the first year we were really intentional, like, hey, everybody's going to throw 15 together, and then we're going to back up 10 feet. And now the next portion is going to be, now you're still 10 toes. Now you're about 25, 30 feet away, and you kind of do the same thing. And, after 10 toes, they'll go back to about 60 feet. And now we'll start with a shuffle. But every time they shuffle, they're going to also pretend or practice and go through kind of a dry hack, is what I try to call it, is a dry hack. Just pretend you're fielding the baseball, center chest pointing to your partner, shuffle, throw the baseball over. So for the infielders, they have to do that about 15 to 20 times before they then can get to 90 feet. Then once they get to 90 feet, now it's a shuffle, throw, shuffle, throw, shuffle, throw. That's something that, I think is really important. I remember back to CBC, one of the guys I played with, Steve Marquardt. Gosh, this guy had a cannon, man. And I remember watching him warm up, the shuffles that he would take, the intensity of his shuffles. I'd just be standing there like, holy smokes, this is a guy right here, and he was a guy that got drafted. He was a great guy. So I remember I would see that and I'd be like, hey, this guy's doing it and he's really good. Then I better start doing it, So I was at CBC, I started doing that. And, now that I got my guys here at the high school, I think that's something that's really important. So once they get to 90 feet, they'll go one shuffle, and then we'll try to go to 120 after 90. And then as soon as they get past 90 feet, then we start going into two shuffles. And then we'll also start getting them into working relays. So now they're working on the side of the baseball. They're either shuffling with the baseball, working a relay, or they're redirecting that baseball to get maybe a redirect to second base or a redirect to a third base or, to a different position. So then they'll get over to their, to the deepest. I try to not let them go past 180, double 90, but some kids really kind of get a little crazy, but they're going to be that far. It's always going to be two shuffles, and they're still working on something throughout our catch play series, which, if they're that deep, it's still going to be it would be the working relay stuff, and they work their way in. And once they get back all the way into 60 feet, then they're going fast catch, and they'll do fast catch for about a minute. And then after they do fast catch, Kelly, kind of like what you said, then they're going to start working different angles. I think it's important for those infielders to really work those angles. That's something that in the game, they might not get many of those opportunities, in the game to throw from different angles. But when they do get that opportunity, we got to make sure that they're ready for it. So then we'll go about a minute and a half again with different arm angles. I got an infield coach who's Chris Brunetti. He's one of my infield coaches that also helps me in the infield. And if he's out there, if I'm out there, we'll say, hey, we're working double plays from your position, and you're going, with your partner working double plays from a certain arm slot. So to be able to work those things before we even get going has been something that's really important for us.
Love it. Love it. What about your daily drills? What kind of your daily drills that you work on with those guys? What are your kind of emphasis points there?
Yeah. So after we did our catch play series, then they're with their partner. They start on a knee, no glove, and they'll just go on a knee, no glove. They work center of body first, not on a knee. They're on two knees. So they'll go center of body, working the ball out front, center of chest. Then they'll go forehands. Then they'll go backhands. And after they've done that, then they'll stand up. They'll put their glove on and go through the same sequence. They'll go center of body. Then they'll go forehands. And then they'll go backhands and do the exact same thing. But now they'll be standing up. One of the things that I think has also been cool is after we do those EDDs, then we'll start working infield flips. And so I'll get them a little bit further out and they're underhand flipping it. So as soon as everybody's done, all the infielders are done with their EDDs, we'll get into a 4-corner drill. And so infielders will just be about, maybe 15 feet away, and they'll just start working, underhand flips like they're rolling too. And so we'll have all the infielders doing that. A lot of times I feel when I started, I was leaving the first baseman out, and those are the ones who really needed to be working that, man. You get that deep ground ball into the 4-hole, and they got to backhand it, then they got to hurry and run over and flip it to the pitcher. And We would first used to have third baseman and first baseman kind of do their own thing, but I think it was 3 years ago that we just started getting them into our square drill so that they could also work that underhand flip. So those are kind of our EDDs. Then after EDDs, then we'll kind of go into our, individual practice on the field.
Love that. Love that. Do you have kind of favorite drills or points of emphasis that you work on? I know I echo the same things throwing. I mean, most airs are throwing, right? And a lot of that's footwork. Things like stopwatches and those other things, the other tools that you get guys to work on that kind of internal clock. But what are some of the kind of the special drills that maybe you learned in the past or have kind of implemented recently? I think the most fun thing is kind of toying around and trying new things, and love having indoor days because it's like we got a machine, we got a small space, let's find a way to make it work. But what are kind of some of the non-conventional drills that you've maybe made up or learned somewhere that you'd like to implement into play?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure how non-conventional this is, but one of the things I've been working with is drawing a lot of lines, in the dirt so that kids have kind of a mental, like they could visually see, and then they could mentally think where their feet need to go after they fielded the baseball. One of the things I began to realize is these kids are never in a good position with their feet under them. And their feet were going one direction when their shoulders are pointing a different direction. So, one of the things I've really been working on is just drawing a line going towards first base. And they got to be square up towards home. And then they got to get their right foot on that line going towards first base. And then they're not going to throw it until that left foot actually also touches the line. With middle guys, that's been something that I feel has really helped them out. I remember one time taking a long piece of PVC out there and we started the drill. Kids are stepping on it. And I'm like, gosh, this was a horrible idea. Like, why would I bring this out here? They got their cleats on and it just felt dumb. And so I was thinking, you know what? Why don't I just draw a line, man? Just draw a line right here. And if they step on it, then it's no big deal. So, drawing the line for them to kind of see that has been kind of important. And I'll draw the line to first base, and then I say, all right, now if you're going to take an angle to second base, now what's that angle going to look like? And I'll actually have a kid draw the angle for me so that he could then see, all right, if I'm going to second base, this is the angle that I need my feet to be going in. So, that's been something that's kind of really helped the kids with throwing directional, because I think one of the more important things is if you don't have your feet under you, then, you're not going to throw in the direction that your shoulder's pointing because it just – lines of symmetry don't line up, man. You got to be lined up. So that's been something that's been really helpful for the kids, something that I've kind of done with them.
Do you allow them kind of different ways, like when you're teaching different plays, like different backhands, different modes, whether it's right leg step throughs, like stuff like that? Are you trying to teach them different ways to be athletic to get them on that line earlier? Like what are kind of maybe some of the different plays that you work with guys to give them different tools on ways to field ground balls?
Yeah. So the one thing that I've kind of been a really big believer on is really understanding your kids, because I could really teach a kid to do a backhand with his left foot forward, but he might not be very comfortable that way, so I really try to understand first who is the kid that I'm talking to. He might be he needs to have his, his right foot when he's fielding a backhand. So I'll kind of show him the couple different ways of doing it. And then as I watch them, I kind of give them a little leeway on how they want to do it. I'm thinking right now also, like when kids catch the ball on the run, some of them catch it with their right foot forward, but a lot of them are, left foot forward. And so I try to teach them the different ways, but then I kind of want them to be an athlete and do things naturally how they do it. So I'm going to show them the different ways of doing it, but I think ultimately it's going to really come down to what they mostly feel comfortable doing. So then I'll get kids to really, really focus in on, hey, how did you just field that ball coming through? When you were running, fielding that ball on the run, how did you field it? So that they're so comfortable doing that. And then we kind of have some sessions during our practices where I kind of tell them, all right, now you're going to do things goofy. is what I kind of call it. Now you're going to do things goofy. So if you're a guy that normally receives the the ball on the run with your right foot forward, I need you to now field everyone with your left foot forward, and let's be goofy for about 5 minutes. That way they could still practice that. It's not natural for them, and it doesn't feel right, but it still gives them an opportunity to kind of have that tool in their bag just in case. Because sometimes you never know. Your feet don't line up, and you just all of a sudden you got your left foot first, and if it's something that we've worked on and practiced before, then hey, maybe you're able to successfully get that play through. So we kind of do it kind of the conventional way, and then we call it the goofy way. Hey, let's be goofy for a bit and just kind of do things how you would not normally do them.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like, you talk about the left foot forward, the on the run play, the two hand, and then dig your right foot in and make a throw on the angle. How many kids struggle with that, and they look at the other kid and like, man, that guy's cool. You can do that play, right? And until you like really break it down, right? Like I think in a lot of I've started to do this with our pick work, is to roll those plays and work on them there when there's not a throw. Like, because a lot of times when they try to make a throw off of those, like, as you say, goofy play, it comes out really bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, because their foot a little awkward, it's a little bit different there. So for them to work on it in a controlled environment and then take it into play helps them big time. And guys will love it when they do it for the first time, like a backhand on the run, like left foot forward to right foot, like all those plays. It's such a cool breakthrough when guys are able to like do something unconventional and find a way. And who knows, they may pick it up and do it on the run, or there may be one play of the course of the year where they need to do that play on and they do it. And you love that moment for that kid. So I think the more that we can make them uncomfortable and do things a different way, just makes them better athletes, right? Different movement patterns, different things, different tools in the box. And you may be a dip and drive guy, and off your back foot on a backhand, you learn the left foot crossover, and all of a sudden, like, I can get that out cleaner now. Like, so I love that. I love the ability to give guys different ways of doing things and working through it. That's fun.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk double play stuff. I know I'm in my alley here, and you got the bopper country hitting homers, and you got Jason, the jack of all trades. Let's talk about double plays at maybe in the middle. Some things that you're kind of really pick on, harp on. Turns and feeds. Let's start there. Maybe let your mind wander there. When you guys get to that double play work, what are you kind of emphasizing?
Yeah. So as far as middle, and double plays goes, one of the things I remember when I first started as a coach, there was a kid that he's really struggled turning double plays. And I remember thinking, man, dude, you're normally really good at receiving the ball and throwing it. Like, what's going on here? And I remember talking to him, and he's telling me, like, well, I'm just not used to catching the ball the way that they're getting it to me. And so I thought, well, he needs to have the ball in a specific spot for him to be able to turn it. He wants it in a specific spot, because that's kind of where he feels most comfortable. So one of the things that I ask kids before we kind of start flipping it in a controlled environment, kind of like what you talk about, is I kind of ask them where they want it. Where do you want this ball? That way everybody knows before we start, hey, if you're going to be lined up here with Johnny wants that ball to be on his left hip. If you're shortstop and he's at second base and he's ready to receive that ball, try to get it to him on his left hip, because that's where he feels most comfortable, So when we get guys to kind of understand what their strengths are, then I think that really helps their weaknesses, because then they really focus on their weaknesses a little more, So that's kind of how I start with how we turn double plays, the way that we flip them. And then we'll just talk about it, like, hey, what happened right there? I noticed you weren't too quick, or I'll get them on a stopwatch. And I'll say, hey, you were 0.89 on the last one on delivery, and this one you were 1.3. Like, what happened? And they might say something like, well, that ball was to my throwing shoulder, and I normally like it, on my left hip, so that I could, because that's kind of where I feel most comfortable receiving the ball and then coming up to throw it, So to get them to be able to talk that lingo and tell that to me has been something that I feel has really separated some of those kids to really be able to understand where their game is and the level of play that they could do it. And, as somebody that's flipping the ball to them, when you're thinking about where you have to throw it, then a lot of times that eliminates you having to worry about thinking about catching it or fielding it. You're more focused on where you need that ball to be for your buddy so that he could turn a nice, clean double play. So I think, that's kind of been one of the things that's kind of been mostly important, or something that I start with when we're flipping double plays, because I think it's important for kids to know where they want the ball so that they could flip it and be most comfortable with. One of the things I try to really focus on when kids are flipping the ball from short is to make sure your glove hand is clear so kids can see the ball. I feel at this level, kids are really so fast and want to be too quick that they're shielding the ball with their glove, and it's too late for the person that's receiving the ball to see it. And because there's so much going on here with the body, so when the ball is coming out of the body, then it's tough for them to see. So we really work on your left hand needs to come all the way out, and then you're following through as you really, flip that ball over to second base to get a good clean flip there, a good clean turn. I think that's something that's really important, really clearing that left hand.
You talked some V slot stuff earlier, which I love. It's good lingo. When your guys are making a transfer at second base, are you really cautious in wanting them to center the ball when they're exchanging it from glove hand to throwing hand? Do you give any freedom there as far as deflecting and those type of things, or do you want them kind of secure and catch and then center body transfer?
I really want them to secure and catch and center body transfer. And, I really focus on practicing when they're playing catch play. One of the things that infielders also do when they're receiving is making sure that their palm is facing the person they're receiving the baseball from, because a lot of times we teach kids, well, if it's below your head, then you got to turn your glove this way. And if it's, that's above your head. If it's below your head, you got to go this way, But I try to teach my kids is, hey, if you're trying to turn too, no matter where the ball is, I need your glove to be like this. That way you could have a clear grab of the baseball, but it should be center of body. So I really focus on center of body, work to get to that V slot, and then you're just firing that ball as soon as your right foot hits, left foot on the bag, trying to really time it with your momentum. As soon as that ball hits your glove, that's when your left foot touches, and then you just turn, get to your V slot, and go.
Love it. What about
Coach, when you guys
go, Jason.
I was gonna add, Kelly, when you guys are running those Kelly, you've got fantastic questions, man. This is good. This is solid.
I just got the group text there, and you guys didn't see it. I said, get in on this action. Like, just get in here. Get in. The water's hot.
Well, I mean, hey, it's just drinking from the trough, man. It's what it is. Just good stuff. So, Coach, the questions I got for you on middle infield play when your guys are turning twos, how important you really working on communication with your guys in regards to like what we do for our guys is really communication to that receiving hand, right? Flip, toss. I mean, always being aligned, really, because they are that kind of center core of the infield. And so, how important do you emphasize the communication between those two?
Yeah, so that's really huge on the communication part. We try to be really vocal. As a middle infielder, I try to teach them to be really vocal. And I really want to make sure that the person that is receiving the ball is the one that is yelling flip or toss. A lot of times you'll get the kid that's at second base standing there and he'll try to yell flip, or toss. And that really confuses the kid who's receiving the ball. So I think it's really important that the kid that is going to be receiving and flipping the ball, that's the kid that should be the one that's yelling flip, 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 or toss, toss, toss. One of the things I try to teach my kids is I want 80% of double plays to be an underhand flip. I feel that a lot of times kids try to be too quick with hurry up and throw it, and they're in a position where they should have flipped the ball, but they thought that they had to throw it because they didn't have much time, or they felt like they didn't have much time. So they then hurry and throw it, and then things get kind of chaotic. So I try to teach my kids that, 80, 90% of the time, man, I need you to underhand flip this ball. If you're not able to underhand flip it, that's because you didn't get around the baseball to create momentum to then be able to flip it. I watched a lot of the pros and the way that they do their flips, and they really get to the right side of the baseball so that they can get some momentum going towards the base when they're underhand flipping it. It's obviously okay for them to throw it overhand, but as a shortstop, if you're going to throw the ball on a double play, I feel that ball needs to be 2 to 3, maybe 4 steps to your right for you to throw it. If it's just a step to your right, maybe even 2, I think you should be able to get around that baseball, create momentum, go through the base, field it through the baseball with a good right, left, gas pedal, and keep everything in front of you and flip it with some force. I think for kids this age, that's really important because they have more accuracy with an underhand flip than they do kind of trying to throw it from a 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or from a different arm angle when they're trying to throw it overhand. So the communication is huge, and I teach them, hey, if you're not sure what to do, just flip it. Just say flip, 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 flip. So flip for me is really important. The communication is huge. Hopefully that's something that, they kind of grab onto, and they're communicating with each other quite a bit because communication is really important.
We were having a conversation the other day at practice about, some of the things we're going to do with our middle guys, and we went even as far as buying this big clock, right? And we're going to try it out this week and put it up, and a coach will be on there like it's basically a stopwatch, but everybody can see it. But, what are some of the things you're doing with your infielders and turning double play drills, but, putting some time limits on it, putting some pressure on the guys so that come game time, it's easy for them. Are you doing anything like that?
I think one of the things is, to get somebody to run from catcher to first base, that way they kind of know exactly how much time they have and they could kind of see it. I think if I get them into more scenarios where they're actually seeing somebody running, then that's a little bit better for them. I like the stopwatches, and I've done that before in the past, but at times I feel like that takes away one of their senses because they're not seeing somebody running, and I'm a really big believer in, if you're going to do something, no matter what it is, it's got to hit all senses. And if it hits every single one of those, you feel, taste, smell, touch, if it hits all those senses, then you're going to be able to understand that concept at a higher level. So a lot of times when we're flipping double plays, we'll go just double plays to the shortstop, and we're working double play shortstop, second to first. And as soon as I hit a fungo, I'm going to have an outfielder sprinting from first base. That way kids could actually see exactly how much time they have. They could kind of challenge each other. And, we have a couple outfielders that claim they're really fast, so as soon as that infielder sees who's up next to me and sees who's ready to run, they're kind of gonna get a little more amped up, and they're gonna get a little more excited to want to hurry up and do it. And so those kids, we'll call those plus guys. So before I hit the fungo, I'll say, hey, here's the plus guy here in the middle, be ready. And so when I say that word plus, now they know, hey, I need to be quick. I need to be fast with this kid. And so if they see certain kids, from other teams now, they'll say things on their own like, hey, there's a plus guy here. Hey, we got some time. This might be a plus minus. It might not be as quick, or maybe it's a minus. So those are some of the things that we use for communication for somebody who's speedy. But, as far as getting kids to really see how much time they have, or to kind of get them to be quicker or understand the time that they have, I really just like to get runners out there so they could really see and actually, visualize the time that they have.
Kelly, you're muted.
We're back.
There you go.
You talked about not giving love to the corner guys or the first base. Maybe some things first base wise. Show some love to the podcast here. Some things that you work on for those beautiful little soldiers over there at first base. They have to make all the plays to bail out the infielders.
Make the middle guys look good. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to hurt no one's feelings, man, but I remember at CBC, one of my coaches saying, you know, all Babe Ruth teams, what they get before the season starts is a bag of helmets. They'll get a bucket of baseballs, and they'll get a big first baseman. That's what I remember one of the coaches saying, you know, and I think that might ring true in a lot of, you know, these smaller schools. You know, that's kind of the bigger guys at the corners. Some of the things that try to work with them is really being able to catch the ball on the run, especially at third base. You got to be able to catch the ball on the run. And so I try to give them a lot of leeway and try to see their athleticism with catching the ball on the run. Because a lot of times the middle guys are, you know, those are going to be your athletes, you know, so they're the ones that really get the praise. But, you know, we'll go through a couple series where we're just watching the third baseman we'll try to hit him with two hopper and we'll watch him come through the baseball and throw it on the run. And, you know, we kind of teach him throw to the right shoulder so that ball could kind of, you know, like my golf swing and kind of fades into the glove. But we'll just give them opportunities to be athletes themselves, you know, so at third base, they're coming and getting the ball on the run. And first baseman, at least my first baseman, they really love that play that's a backhanded, like a hard bunt, and they're backhanding it going to third base. And so I'll give them an opportunity to do that. That way they kind of can say that they've been athletic for the day, or they could say that they're also an athlete, you know, and that's kind of the love that I like to give those guys. For the first baseman also, Eric, you talked about picks. And so 2 years ago, we got those little red machines that feed ground balls. And what we do with those guys over there to make them feel really good is we'll get those machines and just kind of set it up so that they're fielding or they're receiving those short hops, you know, all those bad throws that they get from the infielders. You know, we'll set that machine up and we'll just have them just working short hops. And those kids, man, they're kind of a different breed because they love doing that. You know, I kind of think of them as like the goalies in hockey. Like, you kind of got to be a special kind of dude to be a goalie in hockey. And at first base, I kind of see it the same way, because who likes to receive balls in the dirt from your shortstop, and then they get mad at you when you don't pick it? And it's like, dude, just hit me in the chest, man. Like, why are you mad at me? You know, so those first basemen, a lot of times they don't get love, but, you know, that's kind of the way we like to give them some love of practice, is to kind of just shrink down the field for them and give them a little more isolated, you know, short hop so they can feel good about themselves. Then when they get to the game, you know, I kind of tell them, like, hey, man, we've done this a lot. You know, you're going to get a ball that's a short hop or a long hop, and you're going to field it. You know, with that mentality, that mindset, you're going to receive every ball that's a short hop, and you're going to do great, you know. So those are a couple of things I like to do with those guys. And I guess another one would be fly balls. They love coming in to catch that fly ball that's right there by the dugout. They absolutely love that. So when I set that machine, when we do fly balls, I try to set a machine going up for the infield. And I love seeing those, you know, those guys in the corners just coming in and catching that ball kind of on the run, that fly ball on the run. So that's another thing I like to do with those guys. And I'll try to get it as close to the fence as I can so they could reach over it. And, you know, that's kind of their claim to fame, you know, for the practice. And that's their way of showing the rest of the team that they're athletic and that they're part of the team. So, you know, I love the corner guys, man. That's kind of where I was as a high school guy. And, you know, I know a lot of times we kind of leave them out there to kind of do their own thing, but man, those guys are awesome. I love those corner guys.
Oh. Jason's back. Jason, you got one? Or are you with us? There you go.
I'm good. Yeah. So, Sonny, as we close things out here, what is one thing that you'd like the listeners to know about Othello baseball? You know, I mean, what you know, something you want to share particularly? I mean, what you got coming up in the 2024 season. I mean,
Yeah, so kind of more importantly, man, I just want people to kind of look at Othello baseball and be able to look at us and say, you know what, these guys do things right, man. They do things right. It's a respectable ball club. We're gonna face them. We know they're gonna grind. They're just gritty players that just like to get dirty and do things right. Apart from winning and losing, that's always what I tell the kids, man, is I just want you to be a good person. Just do things right. Just do things with respect. Respect your teammates, respect your opponents, respect the umpires, respect the fans, respect people, just be a good person. And so for me, ultimately, if, other people could just kind of look at Othello baseball and just say, you know what, these guys are doing things right, man. They kind of, they kind of got things squared away over there and they're doing things the proper way. And I think ultimately for me, that goes a long way. That goes a long way for me if people could say that. And so that's kind of something that I would really want people to kind of say for our ball club and for our programs, that we're doing things right and we're carrying the name of baseball a proper way and we're doing things the way it should be done.
Well, man, that's awesome. I don't know if we could have picked a better way to end season 4 than having you on talking infield tonight. This was the season we pitched early on as the nuts and bolts of baseball, and I know tonight's episode did not disappoint in that aspect of this thing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Great. That's great. Thanks again for having me, man. Again, thankful for this opportunity. Thankful for everything you guys have done, continuing this and, keeping the ball rolling with this. I think it's been great.
Well, we truly appreciate that. And man, have a good luck this season. Have a great season. And I hope we can all be warm, and I hope you stay warm, and it's going to be a nice weather one of these days. I guarantee it.
Yeah, no, it's coming, man. The good days are coming. So we got really good things to look forward to. So, you guys also, Kelly, good luck the rest of the way. Eric, Jason, good luck to you guys. You guys, start games here in the next week or so, man. Good luck to you guys.
We appreciate that. Well, Jason and Kelly and I will be right back to wrap this thing up.
Now, entering from the bullpen.
Well, we are back to wrap up season 4 of your Pacific Northwest Funko Banner podcast, and wrapping up our episode here with Sonny Garza, the head coach at Othello. And this is our last wrap up of the year till next fall, guys. So we'll let Jason kick this thing off.
Yeah, and in the off season, I'm working on my Wi-Fi. So next season for the year 5 for we'll have a better internet connection. I'll blow you guys out. So no, fantastic! What a great way to close out the year to talk a little bit infield play, something new. There was a lot of good stuff that definitely coaches can really pick up tonight or today. I'm just listening today with the Coach Garza there, but just all different aspects of what he's doing there in Othello with the within the community with their baseball program. There's a lot of solid stuff. I mean, about the approach, right? I mean, getting on and off the bus, the way you carry yourself onto the field. I mean, it's big time. I mean, that's where it starts. I mean, there's something to say, Coach Garza really hit it spot on. I mean, honestly, guys, the athletic ability is important, but if you don't have it in the head and, you don't present it well, you're not going to get very far. And that's what's the difference between championship teams to average teams. And so, guys, it's been a fantastic season. Love you both. I mean, it's crazy we've been able to accomplish this much, and really look forward to what next fall will bring. And hopefully we'll have some big things in the works. So actually we do have in the works that we'll be able to hopefully announce coming in the fall for season 5 kickoff.
Absolutely. I'll go next, and Kelly, you can wrap it up. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay. So that was it was really cool to begin. He talked about, and I know that we're kind of on the same journey of a timeline with him as how long to be coaching. And if you're a young coach now listening and you think you know everything, you're going to find out in a couple of years. There's a long ways to go with learning, and especially in this game of baseball and coaching, and don't quit being a lifelong learner and sorting through all the stuff, man. Like even, some of the stuff we talked about today, it's all great. And I even put the text I sent tonight to my assistant coach of putting a little twist on things of how we can do things that fit our program. Right. And, making the connections, getting out in this community of talking. And it was, we even saw Sonny at the coaches clinic here in Ellensburg a couple weeks ago. And it's so cool to hear about his path in coaching and just how his program's evolved over the 8 years that he's been at the helm. I think anybody that's done it a long time, if their program hasn't evolved, they probably don't have a very good win column. So, and it was always fun going to play the Othello teams growing up, and you always knew you were going to get some good baseball guys there, and it was fun. And then breaking down middle infield play for a slow, big first baseman like me, it was fun to listen to that and hear more about just how everybody does things differently, and it's so much fun. And as for the season wrapping up, man, it was pretty cool. Things evolved. Heck, we got sponsors, we got a cool YouTube channel with a neat background, and just this thing and how much fun it's involved. And being with you guys on here, it's awesome. And I know that I can say that I've taken a lot from this, just being able to listen to everything back to the program and my journey as a coach, and very fortunate to have people that I can call every day I need to and talk about things and just keep growing on this thing. So can't wait for season 5. Season 5 next year in the fall when we get back, and just excited to see where we take this thing to the next level. And good thing we're not season 10. Kelly doesn't have to take his shoes off the count right now, so that's good. We'll let Kelly wrap up the before the at least it's not the middle finger you're back up.
We got 20 to 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24.
On 4.
Next year, we 24, 25. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about how much time has passed, since first starting this. I have a cat now. Things have changed, made many appearances the last 2 years on the episode. Yeah, life is good. And yeah, I think it's just the continual passion that you hear from other coaches that come on, no matter what their lane is, expertise or specialty, they all have passion for it. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. And I think there's a big respect that I have for high school coaches, because it's a very small window in the year. A lot goes into, especially in the Northwest, this area, Washington State, where you guys don't have a lot of time with your guys. It's a really tight window. You spend all this off season thinking and planning and getting excited for it. And now that it's here is a really cool time, and I think the way that the club ball and other stuff has gone, I'm hopeful for high school baseball, and I think it's still the one thing we have locally where you have an opportunity to play for something bigger than yourself, right? And there's a lot of other stuff out there that maybe doesn't go towards that, but the fact that you guys get to come together as a group and represent something for your area, your local, your town, is really, really cool. So to get people on here, especially getting into season and talking about what they're doing and things they're battling through, the real life issues, not the glitz and glamour stuff, is comforting. It's awesome. And hoping that continues to be our local baseball driving force, is that high school local team that everyone wants to go watch and follow and be a part of. Yeah, Sonny was great. I mean, talking about the infield stuff, he's obviously passionate there. Just some of the specific things that the things that seem rudimentary, and we take for granted as coaches, like, just go over there and do those things, kill that 15 minutes, get us further than a practice or whatever it might be. But the level of detail that he has is great. And there should be a specific set of things that you do on practice that prepare you for practice itself and prepare you for games and stuff outside of that. So, I challenge people to really be specific with your catch play. to have different drills to work on catch play in different varieties, and you can make it fun, you can make it challenging, but throwing the baseball is the most important thing we do as infielders or as any player. I mean, any player on the field. We'd say it's a glorified game of catch, right? So if you struggle at playing catch, you're probably going to struggle at baseballing. So it was great to see and hear that from him today, and obviously the passion that he has and the growth, which is great for people to be vulnerable and talk about the growth that they've made and the things and adjustments that they've made in their times there. And that's what it is. It just takes time, right? It takes time to get things in place and get things going the way you want it to be. It's not going to be always going to be perfect, but you have to try new things. You have to try new drills, drawing lines in the sand like he's talking about. That idea could have blown up in his face. It could have not worked out. But you have to try things different at times to challenge yourself and challenge your players. And it's okay to do something and mess it up and scrap it and throw it away and never do it again, or to take something, modify it, make it better. But yeah, it's been a great season, and a lot of growth, a lot of learning here, and excited for the future and where this thing will continue to go. Appreciate both of you guys.
Thanks, man. As Jason just logs off and leaves us hanging. I'm just kidding. Jason's got his internet there, but he's back.
Well documented.
We'll bring him back into the studio. There he is. We got him back as we wrap this up. He's so back.
Tattoo.
He was going to leave
One last chance.
You were just trying to cliffhang season 5 is what you were doing. He's persistent. He's the fighter. He doesn't give up. That's awesome.
He's the Jordan of his era, he's playing with the Wizards now, and he's gonna go away for a minute, but he'll be back.
I'll be back, baby. I'm coming back.
Heck yeah. Oh man.
Well, too good.
Guys, good luck to both of you this season. Jason, except for you on May 2nd when we have the Fungo Banner Bowl.
I need to go to that game one of these days.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be in the Tri.
Kelly. Well, we're gonna FaceTime
May 2nd. We might actually be on a bye week. Were we on a bye week that week? Let me find out. That'd be so worth. Who's hosting this year?
I lied. It's May 1st, and it's in the Tri-Cities.
May 1st. Oh. We do a quick
my place.
check of the schedule.
Hey, at least you got a free place to stay, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly, you got that private school money.
Couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Just bring the
private school money.
You could just tell the school you're doing a little preview with Tri-City Prep.
That's right. That's right.
But
let's see, May 1st.
For that. Yeah.
Put it in the books. We
at 3 p.m.
We haven't talked about this off. This is like just hot off the press. Like this is our bye week. That's the end of the year for us. Like there is a real possibility that the band could get together and the try and
I love it.
Watch it out. I don't know. I'll have to find my allegiance. Whoever sends me the cooler stuff, I get to wear. So far, I think Eric's in the win right now. I got a couple things to wear there. So
wear the maroon and white, baby.
I could double up. I could wear both. That would be weird. House divided. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'll set you up.
Let's make this happen. We'll have an emergency episode if I make it there.
Here's what Eric comes down to. Eric, right now on recording, if we beat you, first episode, you have to wear Tri-City Prep swag. If you beat me, I'll wear Kid Test.
We can't bet on high school games, Jason. We'll talk. We'll talk off the air on that one. We'll talk off the air on that one. Hey, you might bring in security now.
Kelly to be my witness.
Kelly to
be my witness.
I'll wear the winner's gear on our first episode. How about that? That's middle.
There we go. We can We'll
actually have a. Yeah, we'll do it all.
We'll make something happen.
All right.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you.
If Eric wins, Jason has to wear Kid Test stuff, and if Jason wins, Eric has to go to the Tri-Cities and deal with your internet.
Hey, I told you by then I'm gonna have it resolved. I got this all fixed.
They'll have a new studio. It'll be rad.
Get that satellite internet.
That's the plan.
Heck yeah, baby. All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. We want a big shout out and a big thank you to Safeguard. Big thank you to Devo Bats and to Max BP Heavy Swing Frost Gear. Please go check them out. Go to maxbp.com. Check out, type in PNW Banter for 10% off. For orders over $500, you get a free gift. And so that's worth it right there. But hey, I'll tell you what, guys, the Frost Gear gloves, I've been wearing them the last 3 days. It's been about 35 degrees during practice, and my hands have stayed warm. So big shout out to that. I'm not going to lie. It's been kind of a savior for this one. So, guys, as we wrap this thing up, man, we will see everybody next year in the fall. We'll kick something off, and we'll make this thing just even bigger and better than it was this year. Thank you to everybody listening. Please go back and listen to all the other episodes, and we'll see you guys out there. Good luck this season to all the coaches. Take care.
Okay, bye.